Hey guys, Thomas Cecilia Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Holloween Ends. If you end up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition. Second and third will head you over to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and the channel directly. And the fourth will head you over to my Discord server. With all that shilling out of the way, I'll remind you at the end where you can do all that stuff, and with all that out of the way, we can get into Holloween Ends. So I've seen the trailer for this, as well as seen the, new trilogy of this version of Holloween. So, for those of you who are out of the loop, Holloween has gone through 2 reboots at this point. This is the second iteration reboot, if you will. And this is the supposed trilogy ender of said second reboot. And with all of that context, I will say that it seems to be a typical trend that when Halloween movies tend to go on beyond their sequels, they seem to typically lose their edge and, their sort of story threads and plots and, sort of lose all the momentum. And I will say, based off of the summary for this that I will give to you now, that this is no exception to that rule. And that is very unfortunate. So, anywho, as we begin our little plot summary here, we begin and open up with a radio host talking to the people about, Holloween, and it's 2019, so we're in the, we're a few years behind, but, pretty recent time frame. As we see a young child being prompted with a babysitter. The babysitter's name is Corey. So, they proceeded to watch a much better movie, which is The Thing. And after leaving Corey for a moment, or however long he's away, he hears a noise and sees a lamp fallen over and starts to get a little freaked out. The door also opened as well. So he hears the kid asking for his aid. In the process of freaking out, Corey grabs a conveniently placed knife. However, he gets locked in the room by the kid. And by the time the parents come home, Corey is able to push the door open, but the kid is on the other end of the door. So the boy is knocked over the several flight of stairs and is knocked to his death. So Corey has killed a kid. And this is one of our characters who we're going to be following, surprisingly. So get ready for that. So we get some more narration with footage from the earlier movies. So, okay, so this is telling us that the canon of Halloween is in the context of the original Halloween movies with Laurie. At least, those are the canon movies in the original that they play here. So that's all canon, as well as the previous 2 movies, so I guess that's what they want us to go with. Well, okay. Fine. And apparently, it's also been 4 years since the last movie. And so, Laurie is living with Allison, messing up one of her pies as she's trying to get her life in order and, just be a productive person in living and all that good stuff. And in a thing I cannot already believe, and we're only a few minutes into the story plot, Corey is let out of prison, and is not, in a therapy sort of thing or still in prison, I mean, I don't believe you, movie. I'm sorry, but based off of everything I saw, yeah, I don't buy it even for a second. I really don't. So he gets out, which, again, I already don't believe, and I don't think anyone ought to believe that someone who killed a kid, even if under those circumstances, would be let go that early. So anyways, we cut over to a cop named Doug, who is, trying to get his flirt on with Allison. Allison is the daughter of Lori. Then, we cut to these 4 senior characters, asking Corey to buy them a drink. He doesn't, comply, and the 4 of them, recognize him as the killer of the kid, so it's gotten out that that is what he has done. So, yeah, that's a oddity and a weird thing, but okay. So, when they go and leave after, bullying him, he meets up with Lori, and she asks him early on whether or not she or he will do this thing, which is pop their tires, and he proceeds to pop their tires. So, Corey then is left alone with Allison. And, they go to fix her vehicle after meeting up. So, Corey goes home. We see him go home to an overbearing mother. And, then we see Corey and Allison head on in a motorcycle. So they're already getting their flirt on, and the chemistry here is obviously not meant to be anything strong, so it just comes off as, well, this is happening, I guess. So, Lori, in the meanwhile, goes to Frank, the cop from the previous 2 movies. While out of the shop, she gets blamed for this victim from the previous movie, and Laurie doesn't really attempt to say anything. She just sort of heads out after being blamed. After the fact, Corey and Allison continue their flirtatious escapades as they head to a party. And during this little party, Corey is once again, as the 2 are talking, is seen as the monster, and she is seen as the survivor of the 2, as between the 2. The 4 seniors from before proceed to stop Corey after the fact when they split off, and Corey pulls out a knife to potentially defend himself. In the process, Terry pushes Corey all over the bridge, and then we see him get dragged into a pipe. And that's what happens. Then we see Michael Myers, finally in the movie, who proceeds to choke Corey, but then let him go. Well, that is uncharacteristic of Michael Myers, so we're already, we're in pretty deep shit when Michael Myers decides to just let someone go. We see Corey then proceed to gain new eyes, as the movie puts it throughout, and proceeds to kill the homeless man. So now, he's killed a kid, and now he's killed a homeless man, so, that's who we're following, at least of the 2 characters that we were following from beforehand. And thus, Lori got to her as she continues her narration as she's like writing a book about the situation that she's been through. We see Corey make a nostalgia stand at the outside to Lori, and is outside waiting for Allison, and even gives a bit of a spook to Lori, whether intentional or not. Thus, Corey admits that he killed someone to Allison, and despite being told this to her face, she decides to continue to hang with him. Yeah, that's not something somebody would do. I'm sorry. You would just leave and call the police if you are a reasonable person, but no one in this movie seems to do anything of that nature until the very end, which we'll eventually get to. So Corey goes to his own house, or goes somewhere. But we get a quick conversation between the two mothers, the ones between Allison and our new killer of Corey. And it is already being said that Corey is already being used as this new boogeyman. So that seems to be the lane we are heading towards. Which, I think under normal circumstances, in a movie that's not a finale, I think that would be fine. But this is a finale movie, so it's actually not fine at all. And we'll learn later on why that's the case. So, Doug, the cop, heads over to Corey, and Doug already knows him. And so, they confront each other in this little area, in this food store. And then, after breaking off and getting back with Allison, he says to her that he wants to, as he puts it in, and I put it in quotes, burn the match. As in, kill the town, or leave the town, or kill the town is more of it. And she just accepts this, and they kiss. It's is Allison just broken? Does she have some sort of, mental thing where it's you, follow or fall in love with the bad guy? Is that, the condition she's, severely suffering through? Is that what I'm supposed to get from this movie? Because that's what I'm seeing. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to take away from the movie at all, though. What's the problem? It's one of the big problems with this movie so far, on top of everything else that's gonna happen, too. So, Doug looks around the bridge, and Corey attacks and heads into the sewer, but Doug follows him. So, now Michael and Corey both attack. They both proceed to kill Doug, so now this is Corey's third kill. I believe this is when he also fights to take the mask and is successful in doing so. Yeah, he takes the mask away from Michael Myers. Which is something that I don't think he would allow to just happen, but he does. So anyways, we're now left with Corey going back to Allison. So Lori goes to Lindsay. I believe this is her other daughter. The one who runs the bar, I think. And they go to the husband from the beginning of the movie, the one who lost the kid. And he talks about how he tried to do several things, including asking or, going in for forgiveness despite what happened. And he talks about how he saw it in his eyes, Corey's eyes, and again I said this earlier, how his eyes have become this dark or demented thing, or however they put it in the movie. Anywho, we cut to a party where this doc is taking this redhead home, and they're getting their flirt on. However, shortly into this little party, she overhears the doc yell. We see then Corey proceed to kill the doc, so that's his 5th victim, while wearing a scarecrow mask. So yeah, he has his own separate mask from Michael, not his mask yet, sorry if I mixed that up. Michael comes in from the other side and kills the redhead. Then we cut to him, Corey, riding with Allison. And he proceeds, the two of them are like hanging on this like radio tower, and he proceeds to like jump down. And Willie, the radio guy, tells them to like leave before, messing them up apparently. So, when Corey returns home, he gets a little slap from his mum. We then cut to Holloween. We see Laurie confront Corey, and he repeats the line she said to him about, starting the whole situation. But that was dealing with a tire, and this is about killing people. So, I feel like he did that stupid thing where, like, you say the line back to the character that said it to you, but now it has a completely different context that doesn't really fit at all. So that's another stupid thing that they do in this movie. You should avoid doing that, by the way, for those writers out there. Especially when it's out of context. So she vanishes into the mist or whatever. And he admits that he is the psycho and she is the freak show. So this is where he goes to take Michael's mask, his mask, and is successful in doing so. That's where he successfully takes the mask. And Michael just sort of lets it happen, as I kind of alluded to earlier. So we see Corey, since he's the new one, mess with the 4 people we saw earlier, the senior's car, by writing Psycho on it. All the while, Allison does not listen to what Laurie is saying. They have a conversation where Laurie's trying to explain that Corey is bad, and she just keeps silencing Laurie while she's trying to explain it, and even goes as far as to blame her. So again, I think Allison is just a broken character at this point. There's like nothing left of her. She's just okay. Your mental state of being is not sound. Thus, we cut to the 4 seniors messing with the motorcycle, but then one of them gets stabbed. And then another of the 4, Stacy, runs off, and this vehicle runs over Margot, which is one of the 3rd ones, and then Terry, the leader of this group of seniors, shoots the dad when seeing a brief moment of Michael, but then he vanishes. After the 4 of them are finished off, because Corey goes in for the finale, he then goes after his own bomb, then goes to the police station, and there's where the DJ is killed. Meanwhile, Allison heads to the diner, and she goes and checks in on Corey's house, which he's already too late. He already took out the mom. All the while, Laurie takes out her gun and calls in the police to call in for a suicide. And she does point the gun at herself very briefly, and then shoots at Corey when he tries to come at her twice. She unloads her gun the rest of the way instead of just finishing him off now, and offers to let Corey kill her. However, in the process of this, Corey decides to stab himself in the neck. And Allison, stepping in too late, clearly, blames Lori. Now, what's so aggravating about this scene is that Lori literally says nothing. She doesn't even attempt to be like, yeah, he came at me. He killed himself in the process to do all of, to, get you all mad and stuff. It's like, you had a chance. This is one of those just talk moments, and you have her say nothing. It's just, it's so terrible. Anyways, so Michael returns, and Corey's still alive, by the way, despite him stabbing himself in the neck, but Michael is already there to finish the job. So now he wants to kill Corey, even though he could have done that at the beginning of the movie. So, yeah, the whole Corey being the secondary killer and teaming up with Michael, kind of both pointless thread if it's the end, if the Holloween is ending, if it is like the end of the trilogy, what was the point in trying to have this narrative where you're also trying to say, oh, but this time he has a protege in Corey, but it's ending, so it's almost like the writers blocked themselves into a corner where now they're like, well, now we just gotta kill Corey, right? But it's like, well, yeah, but now it's like, so that the whole thing with Corey is kind of pointless, except for the people he killed. It's like, okay, okay. Anyway, so Michael hears the noise stop and checks it out, and the Lori goes on the attack, and they fight each other, with him dominating her for quite a bit. However, she eventually nails him down and stabs him and takes off his mask. But he still has a little bit of fight in him. But Allison joins in the fight and proceeds to help her kill Michael. The main cop, Frank, shows up, and the cops, along with him, along with those two, carry his body on top of the car, and I guess they just somehow rally the entire town with them. Yeah, I guess that's... because it's all done without any dialogue at this point. And thus they bring his body to a trash compactor and completely disintegrate his body in said trash compactor. And the movie ends with Frank hanging out with Lori. And that was Halloween's end. Boy, what a terrible end to this trilogy. Yeah, the whole setup of having a secondary killer doesn't end, it doesn't fit when you're trying to end your trilogy. That's not something you do in your trilogy, and then also then just end that too. That doesn't make any sense to do it that way. It's like, I've seen Michael have a protege before. It's not the first time they've done this, but it carries over to the next movie. Typically, that's how they do it. But this is the end. So, again, they wrote themselves into a corner with the Corey character. It's like, well, he's gonna be that protege, but the trilogy's ending, so we gotta find a way to throw that thread away. Instead of, And the whole thing with Allison, again, she's just a broken character. I don't know what else to say about her character. It's really disappointing to see scenes where, like, her and Lori could have a moment and it's just either nothing happens or it's very one-sided and very uneven in that regard. It almost feels like the move between this movie and the movie that preceded it, the one that came before it. It feels like these two movies should be flipped, right? That would make way more sense to me. You have the second movie be Michael gets a protege that would, and have him survive, and then have the third movie be the protege and then Michael dies together, and then you can have like the multiple kills from the predecessor movie just be like the nail, just he's going nuts. He's taking out like a lot of the town like he did in the previous movie because it's called Holloween Kills. If for those who don't know, and again, that to me sounds flipped. Like that seems like again, Holloween Kills should be the finale, and Holloween Ends should have been called something else and should have been the second movie. But here we are in a flipped context here, and again, it doesn't fit because the whole narrative has to end. So the whole Corey thing just ends abruptly. As for everything else, it's kind of okay. Like, I wouldn't say any of the deaths are from the previous one to this one. I wouldn't say any of them really excel my expectations. None of them are like, they're fine, I guess, from when they happen. So yeah, overall, a pretty extremely weak narrative. And the killing here just it doesn't also just quite live up to even its predecessor. So again, I feel like the two should have been flipped in that regard. And the other regard of ending Michael Myers. So yeah, there's that too. So, in terms of a score, I'd probably give this movie like a 2 out of 10. It's not a strong finale in the slightest. A lot of this movie is broken by forced contrivances of what you're trying to achieve, and just having the characters not really communicate effectively throughout the movie is also very annoying. And having weird, bizarre relationships also call into question the very character we are following, which is, in this case, Allison here, who just, again, keeps following Corey despite learning more and more about how messed up he's becoming. So yeah, just all over the place and not really all that strong of a finale. And that's my full review of Holloween Ends. And if you ended up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head over to my petition, second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, fourth to my Discord server. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye!